下面我们有请联合国驻华协调员常启德大使做视频致辞。
Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, greetings. I thank the International Poverty Reduction Center in China for this invitation to speak at the 2024 FOCAC Africa-China Poverty Reduction and Development Conference. We are at a critical juncture in our efforts on poverty reduction and the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. However, ending poverty in all its forms and dimensions faces stark challenges. Global tensions are rising, conflicts are expanding, poverty and hunger on the rise amid growing inequalities. At the same time, climate crisis is worsening, threatening to push us further off track in addressing these global challenges. Based on current trends, by 2030, 590 million people are expected to remain in extreme poverty, while fewer than 3 out of 10 countries are expected to halve national poverty. Africa is a home for hope, with its young and growing population and its aspirations to transform the lives and livelihoods of its people. But the compounding effects of these interlinked crises are testing the resilience of African countries and the ability of their people and their economies to reduce poverty. The 2024 Africa Sustainable Development Report underscored that for Africa, less than 6% of the 32 measurable SDG targets are on track to be achieved by 2030. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, with many African countries requiring effective debt relief and financing for sustainable development, their poverty reduction efforts are simply unable to keep up with the reality they face. This is unacceptable. Before taking up my position here in China, I worked for many years in Africa in countries such as Kenya, Somalia, and South Sudan. I saw firsthand how these countries have aspired to end poverty, eliminate hunger, combat climate change, create employment opportunities, particularly for its young people, and build more stable and peaceful societies. Here, China's poverty reduction and development record offers potential lessons that African countries can use to uplift their people. In China, the UN has worked alongside the government throughout its journey of reform and opening up, with this year marking the 75th anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China and the 45th year of the UN's presence in China. We have all witnessed the remarkable transformations China has gone through during this time. While challenges remain, over 750 million people in China have been lifted out of extreme poverty, contributing to 70% of the world's progress on poverty reduction. Here, South-South cooperation has the potential to support the sharing of this wealth of experience, build capacity, and drive progress on poverty reduction in Africa, while moving towards sustainable and inclusive development. During the 2024 summit of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation in Beijing, the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said, and I quote, "China's partnership with the African continent is a pillar of South-South cooperation," end of quote. We were pleased to see key measures in the Beijing Action Plan announced at this summit to support Africa over the next 3 years, with a special mention made to poverty reduction, as well as accelerating agricultural modernization and rural development, industrialization, energy and trade, and the empowerment of women and youth. These actions drive the continent's transition to renewable energy, sustainable food systems, and digital connectivity. Last month, in New York, the UN hosted the Summit of the Future, where member states and global leaders adopted the Pact of the Future, which underscored that we will place the eradication of poverty at the center of our efforts to achieve the 2030 agenda. The Pact aspires to offer 21st century solutions for our current challenges through a more interconnected and inclusive multilateral approach, leveraging global expertise in areas such as sustainable development and financing for development. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we must translate this ambition into action as we embark on the development of our next cooperation framework with the government of China from 2026 to 2030. We will seek to support the country as it transitions towards high quality and green development. China's international development efforts, including the scaling up of South-South cooperation between China and other developing countries, including those in Africa, to accelerate global progress on the SDGs, will remain a key pillar of our work as the UN in China. In collaboration with the host government, member states, and the UN system and other stakeholders, we have co-created the China-Africa UN Transformative Partnership Initiative to help implement outcomes from the FOCAC process. In the coming years, we expect the Transformative Partnership Initiative to evolve from discussions and policy dialogues towards formulating and implementing projects that tackle poverty and other development challenges at scale and with impact. The UN in China stands ready to continue offering the platforms, partnerships, and expertise to support global efforts to accelerate progress towards the SDGs, ensuring that no person and no country is left behind. I wish this conference every success. Thank you very much. 谢谢。